What is the worst NSFW thing you did in your teens? Me and a friend jerked each other off in exchange for seeing a girl naked during a game of truth or dare. I regret nothing. Skipped class to have a drink. Pocket flask were in as a joke. Drinking age 16 here. And Makia at session with my GF at the time. Everybody in class. So empty halls, right? My teacher came out to grab something in the office and saw me with my hands under the GF's shirt and that stupid silver flask. Teacher only rolled eyes and said, living the good life. Was about to have sex for the first time. Girl's mom walked in just before while we were completely naked. Scared me really freaking bad. Few months later trying again to have my first time, but am now super paranoid. She was blowing me in her basement and the water heater turned on. Scared me so bad I went soft in her mouth. My best friend was a peeping Tom. He told me about our very hot neighborhood girl who was a high school cheerleader and that she undresses without pulling her shades. I didn't believe him, so he challenged me to come with him one day. We climbed about 3/4 up on a 50-foot tree in the back of her house and waited. Sure enough, the lights come on and there she is in her magnificent nakedness. I fapped for months after that day. I still feel guilty about it decades later. Hopefully this gets buried at the bottom. Last semester of high school, my friends and I were goofing around, ready to graduate and off to uni, not a care in the world. I excused myself to use the restroom and my best mate dared me to go into a stall and to try and pee over into the next stall's toilet. Basically, point my gun upwards and pee into the adjacent stall. Since it was only a few days till we left the school for good, I decided freak it, why not? Unfortunately, when I went into my stall, I forgot to check and see if anyone was in the stall beside me, and of course, my dick friends didn't remind me. So I pointed upwards, about 65 to 70 degree angle, and let her rip. Next thing I know, I hear a kid screaming at the sudden Niagara Falls of piss coming down on him, and this is according to my friends, freaking bolts out of the stall, pants around ankles, pee dripping all over. Thankfully I never saw his face, nor did he see mine. I was young, and at the time I was working at a store in the mall. A friend of mine asked me for a ride to the mall, and I semi-jokingly said sure, but only if I can get some head or something along those lines. To my surprise she said yes. I picked her up, and we arrived at the mall, and I'm still expecting her to back out at this point. She then tells me to get in the backseat, and she goes to work on me. This is mid-afternoon in a busy mall parking lot, by the way. The act itself wasn't amazing, but I still managed to finish. The thing is, she pulled her mouth off right away, and I shot my load all over my work clothes. Bear in mind that my work uniform was all black. Not a fun day at work after that. Had sex with 2 men at the same time at age 16. They were in their 30s and the whole thing was recorded. You know when you look back on things and say wow, I was a stupid kid. I don't have the tape. That's probably my worst mistake ever, not getting that tape, but the sex was absolutely mind-blowing. Then my mom found out and threatened to put them in jail. Awkward, right? It happened when I was 18 years old. My smoking hot step-aunt is only a few years older than I am. She was like 22 or 23 when I was 18. She was a party animal, and I was one too. We would often go drink with her friends and my friends together, hit the club every weekend, sometimes twice a week, get freaking hammered every time. I knew she was the typical wild girl. She got drunk a few times in the club and we often make out with each other. I know it's freaking weird. I used to stay at her place when we go clubbing cause I don't wanna bother my parents like at 5 AM in the morning, plus that they didn't know I went clubbing. All I said I was sleeping over at her house to play games with her brother. Okay, so one day, we got back pretty early around 3 AM. Both us were a little tipsy, but were totally fine. I entered her bathroom in her room, accidentally leaving the door unlocked, and proceeded to jack off. She suddenly walked in, and I was shocked. Then out of the blue, they grabbed my hand, pulled me and gave me a kiss. After a good makeout session, we had sex. My ex-girlfriend was a grade level above me, and she was cheerleader on the school cheer team. I was a wrestler and I knew when my coach would be out of our wrestling room. On some random Tuesday or something we were just sexually texting in class, and the only thing I could think of was freaking her brains out on game day, the day she would wear her uniform to school. We decided to both use the hall pass during third period and go into the vacant wrestling room. The only light on was the emergency light that shined directly on the center of the mat. We didn't know if we would actually do it, but I have a weakness for cheerleaders, especially in uniform. We freaked for a whole 3 minutes until I bust a nut out of either excitement due to the fact that I practice in this room and we are at school, like what the freak, or that I was scared of getting caught, so I had to speed things up. We walked out of the room together stupidly. As soon as I grabbed the door, I heard keys jingling. Yeah, my coach caught me with my girlfriend. He didn't have proof that we did anything, but the fact that our school logo was now on the back of her uniform gave that away. He didn't take this lightly, and I had my own personal hell week until the following Tuesday. The freaking audacity of my younger self is making me uncomfortable. When I was 14 to 16, my first girlfriend and I would have sex in the backseat of her mom's van while she was driving. She would sit on my lap and just pull down her pants. Other times when we had a blanket, I'd finger her while she was laying on me in the back. One time, we were caught in her room and she strategically got up after her mom stormed up, giving me time to get dressed. They could only see us under the blankets. Gosh, we were ridiculous. Parks, empty houses, at the foot of my parents' bed, when they were sleeping. That's where we had to stay when she spent the night. It gave me a lot of experience, but I still feel stupid for it all. My eventual children have no freaking chance of getting away with anything with the crap I've done. My ex-boyfriend's 17th birthday, his parents left the house for a bit and specified they would be back in an hour. They never left us alone. They specifically left so that we could have sex, as my ex said. His freaking birthday present was sex. We did. All over the house. But it wasn't when he lost his virginity, since we had been having sex for a while before that. Broad daylight in his car, pulled on the side of the road, fields, so many fields on the way home. On the golf course at night after prom. In the back of my mum's truck for New Year's, while everyone was popping fireworks. Every time my mom would leave for a second. In a closet, while playing hide and seek with his nephews. On his mom's massage table in her office. We were like rabbits, but seriously, he had some great parents to do that. Always had condoms accessible in the house. No sex shaming. Very educational. Very open. Great parents. The first college football game I went to was at Mile High Stadium in Denver. I had sex in one of the stadium's men's bathrooms. It was packed, and someone must have tipped off security. This security guy's forces opened the stall and, to the cheers of all the guys in the bathroom, escorts the two of us out of the stadium without letting us button/zip our pants. Since they have our arms in a lock, we can't really pull our pants up as we walk, so the security guy is constantly grabbing my belt loop and yanking up hard, giving me a violent, nut-crushing wedgie every minute or so. I guess those tight girl shorts stay on because she said she did not get any wedges. We get out of the stadium, thankfully without any charges, and in our drunk, stupid state, go have sex in the tailgate parking lot between cars. Luckily it was only the occasional tailgater cheering, instead of a cop arresting. Couple years ago I was in a really abusive relationship, and I didn't handle it as good as I should have. So, my ex, we hadn't officially broken up yet, was out at work with my dad, and I called my best friend who I was madly in love with, and had him drive over, so we could hang out. It started with innocent intentions cause I genuinely was a mess, but it ended up escalating quite quickly. It's a late summer afternoon, and we are sitting in his car, which has nicely tinted windows, at a park right behind my house. Lots of kids playing around and families, etc. He started playing with me and got me semi-close, so I started asking/begging for sex, and he pulled me on him, and we started fucking in the back seat. I finished pretty quick, and it was mind-blowingly good. He didn't that time, but we basically traded off who finished on subsequent meetings. Usually happened at the park, or in between some houses in a different neighborhood, always in secret. We are engaged now. My first hand job ever, when I was almost 17. I was a late bloomer, happened in a movie theater in Scotland on a school trip. I lived with a guy there, and the girl I was with had one of the girls from my school living with her. The guy I lived with got shot down once trying to kiss the girl I was with, and the girl that lived with her hated me already. They sat about 4 seats away instead of right next to us because they didn't like being near us when we were cuddling at the movie. Well, we had her jacket over us and she just started rubbing it and it got all over my shirt. I had to put my hoodie over my shirt to leave the theater when the movie was over. I don't remember much of The Great Gatsby, but damn, I love that movie now. My girlfriend's bedroom was a den, no doors, just stairs going down, and of course the laundry room was right next to hers. I was going down on her one day on the opposite side of her bed in case anyone came downstairs. Well, we were going at it pretty good, and her mom came down to start doing laundry, and we didn't notice. We fooled around the entire time her mom loaded the washer and dryer, and when she walked out she said girlfriend's name, "Why are you laying on the floor?" To which she replied something about her back, and her mom just went upstairs. The whole time my face is buried between her legs. We were seconds away from getting caught.